Welcome to the Nailed It Wall.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Nailed It Wall. This week, we're going to talk about the first ever EDU drone conference. It was an international conference, and yours truly and Mrs. Schofield was a part of it. We're also going to talk about some amazing artwork the 8th graders completed in terms of their alleles. We're also going to talk about OK Go, one of my favorite bands. It's going to be a great episode. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 15 of the Nailed It Wall. I'm Mr. Lane, the STEM guy.
And I'm Mrs. Schofield.
It's kind of hard to believe we're already recording episode 15. How does it feel, partner?
It feels pretty awesome. We've had quite the journey to get here. And I don't know if you ever I accidentally sometimes hit our first, some of the earlier pods that we did, episodes, and we've gotten a lot better.
We have, and that's something that, we're always trying to grow, get better, get people excited about it. And we were looking at our analytics. Still, we've only hit England and Ireland on our international audience. But the cool thing is we've already hit 360 downloads, which is pretty impressive.
It is.
In the last 3 months, where we thought it might just be me and you listening to this. But I always love going back, and this is like the ultimate portfolio of our lives and what we're doing in the classroom.
I would totally agree. I think it's awesome. Yeah, and we definitely didn't download it 360 times.
I know a lot of people might think that, but that would be a lot of downloads.
Yeah.
And so pretty cool number that we're hitting out of the gate there. People are excited. You just told Mrs. Tebow about it today. She's like, I didn't even know about this podcast. Tell me about it. She got so excited, and she just subscribed, and Mrs. Tebow's she's going to be a big fan. So if you're out there listening to Mrs. Tebow, this one's for you.
That's right. We dedicate this one to you.
All right. As we start out every episode, we always talk about how we nailed it in the last week. So how did you nail it this week, partner?
So my nailed it in a positive way.
Okay. I'm going to take some Z's. Wake me up when you're ready to do something.
That
was Ryan.
Amazing, and I thought that was Ryan too. That was Lightning McQueen.
We had a robot just go to sleep as we were recording. when I told Ryan not to turn on that robot, hopefully the gain picked that up because.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing!
I'm surprised you didn't get scared. Usually everything scares you.
It does usually scare me. I thought it was Ryan. That I can understand how he could throw his voice like that.
It was like a grown man in here.
It was, and I also thought my story isn't even that boring because I haven't even started it. It's so rude. But anyway, so Lightning. Okay.
We keep it going. No cuts.
Yeah.
No
Did you
cuts.
see? I didn't even try and cut it this time.
You didn't. Once we start recording, this is what goes on. People checking the fire extinguishers. Lightning McQueen going to sleep. People knocking at the door.
That's right.
We do it live.
That's right. So my nailed it. I would say, I had a really odd experience this weekend. I had mentioned a little bit of it to you. So on Friday, I went to go check out First Fridays in Phoenix, and it's something that I've been dying to do for the longest time since we've lived here. And it's where a portion of the streets in Phoenix, again, I'm not even exactly sure how many streets or which streets, but they close them off, and then they have a bunch of local artists come down. So that's musicians and performers, and because there were a bunch of dance crews, and then painters and things like that. And then they just set up booths, and they have food trucks, and so it was really, really cool. And so my husband and I went down there, and then we went into this restaurant that was kind of open air, and I don't know, I just was like, oh, this seems cool. So we went in, but it was packed, and so then I just thought, I don't know if I want to stay here. I didn't really feel like waiting in line, but I just kind of stuck with it. And then it's common space. So you sit down at picnic tables with other people, and it was packed. And so I went to go sit at this one table that had a bunch of openings, and I literally sat down, and the guy was like, I'm saving this whole table. I'm like, okay, this is super awkward. So I get my stuff and trying to find something else. It was like Mean Girls in the cafeteria. And then, so I just kind of wandered out, and then I found this one picnic table, and the only spots were in between these other people, two other couples. And so I'm like, well, whatever, I guess when in Rome. So I sat down, and the people next to me, I don't have any tattoos. You don't have any, do you?
Just those angel wings in the back.
So Anyway, so they have these tattoos that were like beautiful. They were very vibrant colored. And I'm just always fascinated because there's a wide range of tattoos in the world. Some are really bad and some are really sad looking. And then there's these ones that are like works of art. And so I just was like, I think I'm just going to talk to them. And so I just started talking to them, and very much like my dad would have done. And so I actually was thinking like, well, if my dad was here, he would, and I don't have a problem talking to him, but I felt bad because I was, they're probably out on a date or whatever. So, but still, so I started talking to them, and come to find out they're traveling all over the US, and then they're going to go into other countries, and they're retired, and they're like around 50 years old. And so they're like, we retired really young, and I worked really hard in my job. It was very dangerous, and now this is what I do, like, to balance it. And we're like, well, what did you do? And he was a police officer, and he was a police officer in Colorado Springs, which is where my brother Shondor lived, and where he was a police officer.
Great name.
Well, and actually his wife was something that, like, a front desk person, and she said, your brother's name is like so commanding for like an officer too. It's like Shondor, and it was hilarious. That
what does Shondor mean?
Well, I don't know what it means, but I know it has a...
You grew up with this guy and you don't even know what the name Shondor means?
I don't, because like I don't know that Hungarian names translate to something like I know what the American version of Shondor is, but I don't know what his name means, like its meaning like that.
Now, going off track a little bit here. Did he have any nicknames growing up? Did they like shorten it to Sean? Did they call him Dor?
His
always been
wife's
Sean
family
Dor?
calls him Dor. I call him Shawnee. Well, I call him Shawnee Bonnie, actually, but
Shawnee Bonnie?
Yeah, it's because that's what his sister does.
Sounds like a story there.
Yeah, no, I just literally made that name up, and I've always called him that. And then mostly he just went by Bones because he was completely this tiny little skeleton guy.
Okay, all right, now it's losing something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Shawnee, he
Shawnee Bonnie.
Bones,
Shondor.
That's right. So anyway, they knew him. Not only did they know him, but this was one of his training officers, and he knew him, like very in a positive way, which is good because that could have been super awkward. And we ended up like talking to them for like an hour and a half or something, like so cool. And the wife, for the military, her job was to decode Morse code. And so that's what she did. And I was talking to her about the Moxie girls, and she's like, I would love to come in and talk to the girls in person. Like, we're only here through January, but I'll come in, here's my cell phone number. And then her daughter does this thing, or she just switched her job, but what her other job was is they would basically, like, if there was like a big ambush or something in the military, like something happened and like somebody died, they would like bring a finger to her and they'd be like, identify this person. And like, you just had that and you had to like problem solve.
Like NCIS.
Yes, it's fascinating. So her daughter is this crazy awesome person as well, and so it was just really cool, and like just having that conversation about like Moxie and like what they bring to the table. And then the guy was talking about how like every female cop he's ever known has been like just the top kind of person because they can think in a different way. And so he's like, they actually make some of the best cops that I've ever known, but he's like, they're way underrepresented. And it was just very interesting. So that was crazy cool. And if I hadn't like put myself in that awkward position, which is not super awkward for me, but I also didn't want to ruin somebody's night. So
well, you got booted from that one table.
I did, and it was meant to be.
And it's probably your dad watching over you, and doing the total Emery thing there, where you just sat down, started talking to people, and you think about what a crazy small world that is.
It is.
Talk about a great way to end your week there.
Well, and they don't even live here, and they just happened. They weren't even going there. They were going to this place around the corner, like down the street, but because of this first Friday that they didn't know about, all the streets were closed, and so they couldn't get to where they wanted. So they're like, well, let's just see where we end up. And they just happened to go, like, but that's not where they went to go. So it was just really interesting.
I'm surprised you didn't invite him over to your house.
No, that's crossing the line. But I did get her cell phone number, so.
Oh, your dad would have done that.
Yeah,
though.
he would have easily done a selfie. Been there. They'd have been in his Christmas card. But
yeah.
And then my other part was my not so awesome is in my quest to clean out my house yesterday, and I had all of these when I did mixtures with the kids last year. I've been hoarding because we never throw anything away. These mixtures, and it was like rice and popcorn kernels and beans and all these things. But I threw a bunch of change in there, and I'm like, well, I don't want to throw those. I'm gonna part with the mixtures, but I don't want to throw those away. But I didn't have a good way to sort it, so I was just with my hand like sorting, and I accidentally knocked over a whole entire huge container of all of those things like rice, and I'm trying to hold Blue back, from eating all this raw, whatever grains and stuff, and trying to sweep all this up. It was a colossal mess. So anyway, that was my other part.
Sounds pretty awesome. Well, you had a great way to end your week there. You also took in the boys volleyball tournament this weekend. Where did they play?
They played up in at Boulder Creek in Anthem,
Boulder Creek,
which is far.
That's right by the train park I've been telling you about.
Is
it's like
it?
literally
That's
like right up there.
Yeah.
See, where you could have taken Finley. Going on there. You still have not experienced this Anthem Train Park. If you get a chance, check it out. It's my kid's favorite playground in the entire world. It's pretty awesome. Now, when I think back on my week last week, it was an amazing week. But as me and you were talking at the end of the week, we were going back and forth, and I was just reminding you how fortunate we are to get to do the job we do, something that we love. But we also get to experience this with our kids and all the awesome things they get to do. And talk about, it was a short week. We went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on Friday, my son, his birthday was last week, he turned the big 7. And he was a star student. So, you bring in your share bag, the students write letters to you. Your parent comes in and reads a book with you. So I went in there and we read our favorite book, Flying High by Julian Edelman. Same book my daughter read 2 years prior. Mrs. Willis still remembered it. So it was just so cool to kind of pop in the class and kind of read that story with the class. Had so much fun. And then, Ryan's birthday was on October 2nd. We had our director kind of pop in here and kind of get us our facts right. He's like fact boy. So it was so cool to kind of pop in there and just have that moment and read with the kids. My wife, her Fridays are pretty crazy. She's in surgery. She's not a doctor, but she does a lot of the research stuff. So she's, missed this and then she missed something else. And I was telling you how lucky we are, as crazy as it is. And I was running around. You were taking a picture of me in my lab coat. And then my daughter was Scientist of the Week on the same day as well. So I literally went from Scientist of the Week to read into Ryan's class there. And the cool thing about my daughter is she just has so much of a teacher in her. She struggles at school sometimes, but she's actually like a mother to Ryan. She's just strict on him. She watches everything she eats, but she just has that teacher in her, and she's just like, it was so fun to kind of just step back and kind of do something. And what we did was Diet Coke and Mint Mentos, and this is something that I did my first year of teaching 11 years ago that really got my 6th grade science students excited. And at this time, I was wearing a poncho. This is before Spangler Science Steve Spangler came out with the geyser tubes. So I was literally going like Mythbusters. I had this metal tube and like a playing card, and I would just like slip them out, and then they would drop down and like literally spray all over me. And the kids loved it. And to do that 4 times in a row, I just felt like a magician. And I was telling my daughter how cool she was doing this 4 years later, or 11 years later. I'm like, well, you're doing this, something that I got so excited, and it was a lot cooler. We both had our lab coats on. I'll be tweeting out those pictures tomorrow. It was a busy weekend, but make sure you check out my Twitter page to kind of see some live videos and all the classes like in the pod there. They were coming into me. They're like, what was the science? I'm like, you got to ask my daughter. And then she did such a great job explaining what was the actual science. She was taking questions from the kids, and then she wasn't happy. Some kids were giving some great answers, and she wasn't happy with the exact science there. Kids were coming up to her at the end being like, would this work with water? And it was just so cool to kind of, to have that moment, like as a parent, as a teacher. And I was just so proud of both of my kids, and to get to experience those moments. Like, those are the things that, we don't make the biggest bucks, but those are the things that, that will stay with us, and they truly are priceless. Speaking of priceless, me and you together, one of our Achilles heels, would it be Achilles heel or heel, since it would be 2, right?
I don't know. Wait, are you going to start talking about something else?
Yes.
Because you need to add on to what you did when you recorded that.
Oh yes, I mean yes, that's true. So like I wanted to get a picture of like all the kids like reaction. So I set up a tripod and I was all excited. I had it all set up nice and perfect. Great reminder there. Because I want to see like all the kids' faces as they were doing this. I had it set up nice and perfect. And for 7.5 minutes, we set off 3 Diet Coke 2-liter bottles. 7.5 minutes, I just recorded the wall.
I mean, it was like a rock concert. Like I can't believe that this is missed footage because from where I was all the way across campus, I could hear these kids screaming and the excitement. And I was like, I can't wait to see what this looked like. And we'll never know.
We will not. And I mean, their faces are priceless. I was watching their faces. I was like, I got it all. I'm recording this. It's gonna be so perfect. I'm gonna screenshot some of the pictures of like those perfect moments, like when this happens. And I missed it all. I just recorded a wall, so I failed it there.
But the moment was there. I mean, it happened.
It was. Bless Mrs. Garcia's heart. She grabbed some videos and pictures. So it was awesome what she grabbed. She saved the day there. Otherwise, it would be like if it's not on Twitter, it never happened.
I know.
So
It's true.
it did happen. It was awesome. You said you heard the screams and the
gosh.
shouting across campus. So it was a hit. So she's definitely raised the bar for Scientist of the Week in Mrs. Garcia's class, and I just had so much fun. But I just want to get the classes, like I just always want to have that picture of all those kids' faces, and I was just so rushed and I'm still upset about it.
It's so not your style, though. That would be something I would do. That's the beautiful thing. And I was like, wait, when's it going to flip around? And then, nope, it doesn't.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So great reminder there. I totally missed it there. And another place we almost missed the mark was for all week we were getting ready for this. She Maps AU, which is a drone conference that they do a lot of awesome things about getting girls excited about drone technology in Australia. And we've been going back and forth trying to make sure our time to present was the perfect time. And I'm like, all right, we're going on Friday. And then you just happen. And like before I started talking about this, details is not our strong suit together.
No.
And the both of us, like with that not being our strong suit, we're kind of good with details. And I sent you the screenshot. I'm like, all right, we're going on Friday. We'll do it after Friday. It will be perfect. We can record the pod on Friday. And you happen to just be looking through your emails and saw the time that we were actually part of this online conference on Thursday.
Yeah, but it's Friday in Australia. But the funny thing is I don't know if you realize this, but our last episode, we talk about how we got confused and we thought it was Friday, or we thought it was Thursday, but we realized it was actually Friday, and how we dodged a bullet. Like, we talked about this last episode. And so when I heard that, I was like, I wanted to say, like, you're wrong. Like, you guys you're wrong there. And so, like, but I just happened to open up, it's you get a little bit backlogged sometimes in emails and stuff. There's just not enough time to like sit down and sift through everything you need to sift through as a teacher. And so I just happened to have some downtime because my kids were doing an independent thing. And so I opened that up and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to tell you this. And I was having quite the day that day. My dog got out, and then
how did you not share that story?
That's right.
All right, we got to come back to that.
My dog got out, and then my computer broke again, and so it was just like one thing after another, and there was something else. There was one other thing that I didn't get right, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I found out that we were presenting the following day, and mind you, that was Ryan's birthday, so I knew you were going to be out of commission. It's not like there's a lot of downtime after school, plus your kids have a lot going on. And so I'm like, we have to put together a presentation. And then I had sent our friend Lori Grabham, previous guest, a message and said, like, are we reading this right? And yes, you're reading it. And I said, what you said, ask her what she's putting together. And she said, well, I wasn't going to do much until I saw some of these other ones. And we're like, what? And so like, the scramble but we knew what we wanted to do.
Our plan was basically just to put our pictures up there. We're like, we're going to put our pictures on a slide and then go from there. And what you did was truly amazing. So, long story short, we basically almost showed up to this conference a day late when, and then we were so jealous that it was Thursday in the United States and it was already Friday morning in Australia. With that, so that was our fail of the week, and together we carried each other through this, and
100%.
it was going to be rough. But before we go on talking about the EDU drone conference, you have to talk about your dog getting out.
Oh my gosh,
So
that is.
we come back to school on Wednesday. We had Monday
Yeah.
and Tuesday off. Wednesday's trash day. Take it away.
Yeah, and I had said to my son that morning, I drop off my daughter and her best friend on Wednesdays at the high school, and so I said, all right, I'm gonna drop you off while I'm gone. You go ahead and pull out the trash cans to the curb, and then I'm gonna come pick you up, and then we're gonna hustle out, because now I have to be at the school pretty early because I have a whole bunch of kids coming for announcements, and I have to get anything I need done before they get in there, because that's been a big time commitment. Well, time well spent, but still. And so Sam was like, I pulled up, and bless his heart, he was already out in the front, had his bag. We closed the garage. I'm like, did you put the trash out? Yes, I did. Okay, awesome. We head off, and then I'm at duty, and I get a call on my phone that I don't recognize. I don't recognize the number, and I'm not going to answer that. It's probably like, can I buy your house or whatever? And so I didn't answer it.
We've been over this on previous podcasts.
Yeah.
Never answer a random
right.
number.
And so, and plus, like, their dentist is after me because I haven't made an appointment for them yet. It's because of Ella's badminton team. I'm not a bad parent.
Good mom.
I'm not a bad parent. I just don't know the schedule yet. But anyways, I'm getting there. So I don't answer, and then a text comes through. Hi, this is your neighbor. I have your dog Blue. And my whole heart sinks because I'm like, come on. Not only am I have this moment of like, oh my gosh, something bad could have happened to my dog, and I feel awful. Then my next thing is I'm going to kill my kid because this is clearly his fault. I don't know what happened, but I know that there's no reason that this dog is out. And I'm like, how am I supposed to go home and get the dog, even though I do live so close? But, I have a class full of kids. So Mrs. Bonham is a total rock star. She does duty with me. And I said, my dog, the neighbor just called. So she said, you go, I'll watch your class. And so I booked home, and the dog was just thinking he was happy as can be. And then here's the back gate wide open, so clearly it did not latch after Sam brought the trash cans out. So anyway, it was quite a way to start the day. It really is.
And I love the fact that you ended the day and you told Sam what happened, and he said, I heard it latch.
Yeah.
And then you're like, clearly it did not latch. And then his face just like dropped.
Oh yeah. I'm like, well, and we're very fortunate because I really don't know where the dog would go. Like, I have no idea what would go through his. Like, sometimes you just kind of know your dog. And like, we had a dog that would run away during thunderstorms, but he would always come back. But it was like he would freak out. And that was just kind of that was Louis. And, but he would find his way back home, and he knew but Blue is not like that. I don't know what he would do. I'm not sure. So I'm thankful for the neighbor. And actually the son, her roommate's son goes here to our school. So thank you, Lincoln, to your family for making my dog, safe and getting him home.
That is awesome. That's a great story. We always talk about the power of the community. Mm-hmm. Now, was your phone number on Blue's collar?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Great thing there. I don't know if your neighbors had your number there, and you just never programmed it into your cell phone.
I've actually not met this person before that day, so we bonded.
Yeah, nice. Well, and shout out to Mrs. Bonham covering your back there, and that's the power of community, that you can go home and rescue your dog, and you don't strangle your kid at the same time.
Oh my gosh, seriously. And my day could have been so much worse, right? That's the thing I kept saying. Like, it was a rough day, but the day could have been so much worse.
And if that was my dog would be gone. I'm pretty sure he'd be in New Mexico, Utah by this time, and he would just be, and he wouldn't even look back. I don't think like we went to the dog park with our friends the other day, and their kids like went out to the car to get something, and their dog just like sat there like all sad, like that they left like the gated area. And then my dog, he could care less. Like, he just does not care. He does not care. And I'm concerned that he'd be fine. Like, I don't know if I mentioned this before in the podcast, but he's got like this little clip of his tail that's like kind of curved over, almost like an orca's, like once they go in captivity. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure that he's just meant to be a free bird. He's not meant to be like contained by cinder block walls. And he's like, let me out of here. I need to be free. And happy ending for your story. Kudos to your neighbor. And I mean, this could have gone a lot worse.
So bad. Could have been so bad.
I mean, you could have lost a kid and a dog. All right, moving on from there. I mean, this is our lives. This is why we need a reality crew just following us around 24/7 to capture all these moments as parents, as teachers, and not just filming the backside of a wall.
That's true. I agree.
With that being said, so the EDU drone conference was awesome. So we were a part of this. There were five speakers, right?
Well, there were four of us,
There was
right?
four, yeah. So there was there's two people from Florida, Lori from Arizona. So yeah, there's two people from Florida, two people from Arizona.
Yeah. And then, wait, two guys and then Lori and us. So that's technically five, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and it was so cool. One was a college professor at the University of Central Florida, UCF Knights. They were here for the Fiesta Bowl last year. And the cool thing was the fact that he's been into drones for like 40 years, and he kind of like did something with the first like Google Earth patent and like those photos, and he was a character. He was like hilarious the whole time.
He was so much fun.
And his knowledge about these things, I was just like blown away about the things he was talking about, the history of like drones, and kind of went through and like processing all these images and kind of like what they're doing with the Amazon. It was just so cool.
Yeah, he was really cool. And I thought that was so interesting about the drones, how he's like, it's always been in our nature to basically want to capture pictures from above, and like showed us the
birds,
history
the
of
pigeons,
that.
like in wars, like
So
taking pictures.
crazy.
And
So crazy.
what was the other one? Was it
from
hot
an
air
earthquake.
balloons?
Yeah, from a hot air balloon. And then even, what was he talking about? The Wright brother who had put a camera up there. And then I think those are most
the
of
original
them.
GoPros.
Yeah, the GoPros. But it was crazy cool. And then, he also
was just
did
so fun
with
to listen
NASA.
to, and
Yeah,
like
he
the
was
history,
quirky.
like yeah.
He was a fun guy. But yeah, but brilliant. I mean, that guy is on a different level, right? Just
Yeah.
brilliant. So like you're listening to these people and you're like, oh my gosh, like how were we lucky enough to get invited to this? Just because, these people
Twitter.
are just doing crazy cool things. Yeah. But I mean, I will say, ours had a solid place there. Like it made sense and it was a perfect like contribution to that, but it just felt so crazy. And then the guy with the Geo bus.
Yeah. Well, then so Lori grabbed and followed up after
Yeah.
that, and Lori was still at work. She had her official headset on
She
there.
was Janet Jackson.
And I absolutely loved our podcast that we had with Lori, and I don't even think we really comprehended all the cool things that she's doing, and like how like an idea that started Hack Wars, how that's actually been implemented, and like how many years that was 4 years ago for that to kind of go into practice, and people are just blown away by like what she's doing with American Airlines.
Yeah.
And her story. I just absolutely loved kind of how she shared her story, and as I was listening to it, just like watching her, I was just even more blown away, just even from sitting down from her, because I don't know if we did a good job asking questions about what she did, or even processing like what a big deal she is, and it was just so cool to kind of
we
hear
wouldn't
her
even know
speak.
what to ask her. Like the stuff that she shared, I'm like, we talk to her a lot. Like we
Yeah.
ask her a lot of stuff, but like there's so much that so much experience and so many things that are just like big, wow, crazy, big things.
Yeah,
She
so
does.
Lori, great job what she did, and
Yeah.
people were just really blown away by her. And then there was another gentleman from Florida, and they have a Geo bus,
Yeah.
which kind of travels around Central Florida, and they introduce kids to a lot of.
It was maps, apps, and drones.
Yeah, maps, apps,
Which
and
I was like,
drones.
I wonder how you picked those three things, but it was really cool. I guess because of the mapping that they're doing with those drones, and then I didn't catch, are they creating apps for those? I was not sure, but while they were doing stuff in Belize.
Yeah, and then so then that kind of goes into, so they're introducing kids to the telos, kind of what we use. We talked about the ease of the telos and like all the cool things you can do. But then he just came back from somewhere like in the Bahamas or the Keys. Remember, he was on that island. He was like, here I was last week mapping this, like, or was that in Belize?
I thought that was in Belize,
Oh, maybe
but
it was in
I am
Belize.
not good with details, so. I could
And
be wrong.
so he's been doing a lot of outreach with drones,
Yeah.
and this one this one young kid just like came to that first thing because it's nothing to do with the library, and he's like, oh, we'll check this out, and now he's like this big deal in Belize for like mapping things for Belize, like the coastline,
That's crazy.
erosion. I think they're doing a lot of things with erosion, how
Yeah.
to save houses. In this one town, what was the name of that town? Had a cool name to that town.
It did, and I totally don't
my God,
remember
I'm
what it
blanking
was.
on that town.
It was really a cool
And then
name.
how they put these things in there and didn't look like they were saving this house, but they did save this house from erosion, and kind of like what you're doing with the drone technology and getting these kids, and they used the DJI Phantoms, and it was just such a cool story of like, these kids there, and introduce them to this technology. And their big thing was the lower income students, and introducing them what they could do with this. And this one kid, he's shared that story about what a big deal he was. Now he's doing all this stuff with government officials.
Well, and then they were talking about, do you remember there was like, they said a phrase and they said, oh, we keep coming back to this phrase. And it was something like, it's not about the drones. That they're, all of these people, their mission is not necessarily about drone. Well, I mean, some of them are, but it's more like you want to get kids excited and give them all of these skills, and it's just one method to get them to like think critically and like to give them marketable skills or whatever. And it's kind of like that hook into STEAM and all of that. And that very much resonated with us, I think, because, drones is one aspect of it. And that, we do drones because we want to give them another opportunity and show them all these opportunities that are out there. But then that's just like, it's not about the drones. It's like what you can do with that, and like where those can take you, and all of the skills that you'll build with that. But the stuff they're doing in Belize, I was kind of thinking like, oh my gosh, like that is, I don't remember, it was like, what are the air, what were they making, like sandbags, but it was like, was it filled with like air or something? Remember the things that they were saving the houses with, and they had them like in the water or on the
That's what I was just talking
coastline.
about, the erosion
Yeah,
there.
but what is that they would even use? Like, it was something I'd never heard of before. But it wasn't sandbags, but it was like the equivalent of that. And knowing like how far out that you're going to need that to be able to help with the erosion. But then I've never heard of that technology, and I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we were just both just riveted,
Yeah, and the best part, classic us, like, the week prior, they're like, all right, log in, test your connection. And then as teachers, you just get so busy, like you said, the influx of emails, and I'm like, oh, drag this into my maps box, and you're like, where's all the links here? I'm like, it's on our calendar. And then, you talk about like a crazy week, it's a 3-day week. It was Thursday. I was expecting this on Friday. Then I was taking Mackenzie to dance. Then all of a sudden a play date, like matriculated out of nowhere. Is matriculated a word?
Oh, I love that word.
Matriculation.
We're going to go with it. It is a word. I just don't know if you use it there, but I say we do.
All right, we'll go for it. Mrs. O can correct me if I'm wrong. With that being said, so then literally we're supposed to be in this thing at 4:25. I'm like, all right, I'm going. And then I dropped Sam off, and then I was grabbing a scooter, and it was just insane. I'm like, all right, log into my computer, then we'll walk over, and then we'll get there. And you're like, I don't know where the link is.
I was
like,
so
we didn't know how to get in there. Like,
we're so close at that point. And after not knowing the day that it was going to be, I feel like sometimes like we're like the bad news bears, but we always make it work. Like we do. And
it makes
it's
me
like,
nervous when you say that.
Okay,
There's going to be
well,
something that's going to
no, I mean,
come up
it
short.
works. It's just those kinds of things. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like, this is going wrong. This is going wrong. But it worked out. It was fine. It was totally fine.
Awesome. And so you get 10 minutes. So you get 10 minutes to kind of give your spiel. And for me and you can talk for 10 minutes about why is the sky blue, and we can talk for 10 minutes in there, and we're like, oh my goodness, that means like 5 minutes apiece. We felt handcuffed right out of the gate there, and we did an awesome. You did a great job. You are a picture hoarder. You are amazing at saving all these pictures, and we created this awesome slides. It's up there. We should share it on Twitter. Just kind of show like what we did and kind of share there. And it's just so cool kind of sharing our student stories between Moxie Girls, International Drone Day, our partnership with Flight Factory, the APS grant. And, I think our energy kind of came off, and they were just like, me and you were just so excited. And we love to present and we thought we were like the last ones, part of that. I'm like, maybe they just moved us to the back, to kind of close it out. And I think they were like blown away about just our passion about STEM and everything that we do. And it was just so cool because when me and you like do these things, we get such a high because like we love like the impact it has on others and just to share that story and like kind of where we started and where we want to go.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like we love to share our stories. We love to share our stories, and they were so.
That's why we love Twitter.
I know that's true. They were so kind to us, like the people that were running that, and so welcoming, and just very much made us feel that what we had to share was of value, and that was really like you don't always get to be invited to things like this, and so we feel incredibly grateful. And they were so kind about. You want to talk about the email?
They were so excited about, me and you, again, details. We don't pay attention to this. Their big thing was diversity in drones. So they were very strategic about having a 50-50 split between males and females. There was 40 presenters. I don't know if me and you together count as one presenter or how that worked.
Well, we're 50-50 anyway. So.
Yeah, so it worked out good. But so it was so cool when they sent that email, and so much we talked about was, diversity with the Moxie girls and introducing them to the soft skills and kind of what these sophomore girls are doing now. They're already taking the AP computer science principles test, which a lot of these kids would never take, and they already have this on their college application. It's already going to set them up so much, and it was just so cool when they kind of like talked about we did this on purpose and like hearing what you guys are doing, but not only with Moxie girls, but introduce it to all students as well, like within our STEM classes.
Yeah, and I felt really, really pumped when we were done, just because, and the best part was that we got invited to come back.
Yeah.
And you know what? Listen, now we kind of have seen how this all works, and we get better and better every time we get to do something another time. And but it was just we just left, and we got no time to decompress about this whole thing. It was like it happened, and then we had to leave, but we just both were just glowing because we just felt so proud of like the journey of that, and the even just when you look at our slides and you see all the stuff that we've been able to do, it's just like, oh man, you forget that stuff. And it was really
totally like
so
some of those
cool.
pictures that you drummed up there. I was like, whoa, I forgot about this, and this picture's so cool. And so it just really felt good. And the big thing about us is we've talked about this for the last couple of weeks, kind of leading up to this this presentation, this drone conference, was we felt like we didn't belong. We're not even on par with some of these people. Obviously, I mean, we're talking NASA, we're talking college professors, we're talking American Airlines, and that was just on our day,
our day.
And so, like me and you, now when we need to go back, we want to listen to drone blocks presentations. But I just loved all of them. Like I felt like such a better person to kind of understand what was going on. Both of our kids were featured between Ella and Ryan. Sophie Grabham was a big feature of our presentation. Mackenzie was in there, so it's so cool that our own kids were in there, but as well as all of these SV students. Mm-hmm. And I, as a parent, as a teacher, as an educator, the one thing about me and you, we're best friends. We always celebrate like the things that we do together, and we never waver from who we are.
That's
and
true.
Who we are. I don't know how you define it, but we're crazy. We're excited. We're passionate. We go against the grain, any other
just our
like
picture.
Yeah. Any other thing you can kind of think about. Everyone has these like professional, photography pictures. We got your Christy cassette picture, and we have my Twitter profile picture where I'm doing a science experiment, like dropping a knowledge bomb. But that's who we are. And like, that's what we sent in, and they morphed our pictures together. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like the best picture ever.
Thing ever.
And I was so excited that we had our pictures kind of put together there. And leading up to this, we're just like, Lori was like, she's like, you are perfect. This is what you guys do.
Yeah,
and
Lori was so great.
And like all the questions, they kind of came back to like, so many, all these people that were attending this online conference were just asking us questions about programming the drones, what we would use, what we would recommend. All the comments were just so positive about
so
what we're doing. So many parents that, had daughters, and they were so excited to kind of hear what you're doing with Moxie Girls and kind of what we started to kind of start that conversation. And you just kind of feel reaffirmed like when you do these like kind of cool things.
That is the best way to describe it. Well, and I just really felt totally welcome to be ourselves with them. Like the people running that, they never asked us to be anything that we weren't. It wasn't like they tried to stick us in a stuffy position ever. And they just embraced what we were like and like loved the energy. And I'm super grateful for that.
We did bring our energy. We were so geeked
and it was
up.
the end of the
like,
day, and like, oh my gosh, we had so many. I mean, we couldn't even get into your classroom anyway because you had coding club in here that was taking your class. But it was just all of these things, and then still we just get to do it our way, and it was just such a great experience. And then it just makes you excited too about like all the things that we've done, and then to know that for us, we always know that journey's not done. Like that's just where we are right now, and then next year we'll have different things to share, and it's just, that's a cool feeling to know that it's not a stagnant like one and done kind of thing.
Yeah, I had a blast, and again, from us, no matter what we do, we're always going to do us, and that's kind of our mantra.
Yeah, both. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll go mantra. But it was just so much fun, and we get such a high. Like we love like when we do presentations, because when you come to a PD with us, it's not going to be your normal PD.
Amen to that.
It's not your grandmother's PD. It's going to be. Right. It's going to have our own.
She may be really good at it.
We say we lanify things, and we're still working on your Schofieldify things. We're trying to put our own touches. I mean, the announcements are one thing as well, but it was just so good to kind of feel from an international community.
Yeah.
And how excited like what students were doing on our campus, and I just had so much I can't get over, because like there's so much anxiety leading up to it and the pressure, and when we get in there, it's like I always say this about my daughter, like I'm always nervous for every dance competition. I'm like, does she know the moves? Is she gonna be the one that messes up? But when the lights are the brightest, she shines the brightest, and that's kind of what I always feel about us.
Yeah.
And when the second we go on in front of adults, kids, like when the lights are the brightest, that's when we shine the most.
Yeah, we've always got that. But I do, I definitely feel like it was just one of those that I don't know where that's going to lead, but I do feel like it's going to be something that we always look back at and know like, oh yeah, that was meant to be, like we were supposed to do that for some reason. I don't know why, because it totally, again, fell into our laps.
Totally. And again, we don't know where the year is going to take us from here. We're just living day to day, people.
That's right.
Well, it was a big wrap up of the EDU Drone Conference. It was amazing, but not as amazing as your Genius Hour projects. Do you want to kind of touch on your end of the quarter Genius Hour projects?
Well, they've only just started doing them, but so for the Genius Hour projects, we set those up. Actually, I think I started doing them not intending for them to be what they have turned into be. So when I first started doing them the first year, I didn't do it for every quarter that I taught STEM, but I did it for like the second two. And it was because Mr. Foote wanted to have some extra things at STEAM night. And so the class that I had that time, I just said, well, let's do your Genius Hours for that. And it was such a huge hit that I decided that last year we would do it every quarter, and these kids would present their Genius Hour projects. So basically, Genius Hour projects are, they pick
it's a concept that comes from Google.
Yeah. So why don't you explain that part?
It's an 80-20 kind of like map up, and like you think of Twitter, I think Jack Dorsey, I don't know if he's the CEO of Twitter or like something like Google Maps came out of this Genius Hour concept. And so Google said, like, you work like, 4 days a week on, your jobs, your projects at work, and then you take one day for something that you're passionate about. So it's like your passion power. So it's your Genius Hour project, and you can kind of get to choose. And just from Google, like, so many schools are starting to incorporate these Genius Hour projects, and, all these cool things came out of someone just being passionate about what they want to do. And then what your students, it was just, I had my whole class up here watching one of your students do his Genius Hour project. And, when kids have the opportunity to be passionate, they do amazing things. As my son is walking around showing us, what app is that? It's an app that gift gab, and he's creating his own gift gabs. He's pretty passionate about those, and
that's true.
You might hear him chuckle in the back. But go on about your students.
Yeah. So this year, I tried to introduce it earlier to kind of give them time to mull it over what they wanted to do. And it's funny because some kids know what they're passionate about. And then some kids, they want you to tell them what to do. They'll do a project. They just want you to tell them what to do. And this is one of those things that's part of the journey. Like that's part of the whole project is like, well, I can't tell you what you're interested in. Only you know, but I can tell you, here are some possibilities that you could look into. Which of these things like kind of set a bell off for you? And, but the ones that did theirs last week, because we had 2 kids that actually were ready to go. Brady, our scooter boy Brady, who we've talked about on our pod a couple times, but he is amazing, and he does scooter competitions. And you said he goes to like a scooter camp
in
right?
California the last 2 summers.
And so
he'd be great. We're trying to get him to get his scooter podcast going, and we think that would be a huge hit among kids.
He is just, but he is so passionate about it. So if I give him a project and it can incorporate scootering, he will go above and beyond, and he has. And so like he did a podcast on it for when I did the podcast assignment in STEM, and then this one was all about. So that's what he's doing was talking about momentum and how many pushes, when he's doing the jumps flip and all that. Yeah, like how it affects it. And
if you don't know what a tail flip is, it's like when you ride up and you jump and then the scooter swings around and then you land it, and it's pretty awesome.
I did not know it was called a tail flip, so yeah.
I may have got that wrong, but
no, it sounds like it's right, because that's exactly what's happening. So he did his on Friday, and like bless his mom, like she had to drop all the stuff off, and she's supporting this whole thing. And that's the thing I really appreciate is the parent support and things like this, supporting their kids doing these things like in a capacity that it takes some effort on their part. So I really appreciate that. Brady's mom, thank you very much for doing that. And so Brady was a star because 2nd grade was out on the playground, and they came running over and they all watched him and they were cheering, and it was crazy cool. And for his peers to see these things kids don't get a chance to show their talents. You opened up a can of worms this week on announcements, which we can talk about that in a second about talents. But so that was his Genius Hour project. And so we watched that. And then Matthew, he did this really cool one. And mind you, I told you, I rolled it out like weeks ago to kind of let them have time to kind of marinate on an idea. But Matthew, like the next day or a couple days later, he brought all of his materials in, and has at any downtime he had for RTI or during my STEM class, he's been building this because he was so excited about it. And it's called, what did he call it? What did Max call it too? An electromagnetic accelerator, I think is what it is. And it is the most insanely cool thing. And I can't do it justice, but basically I have that on my Twitter page as well. And there's a video showing it.
Awesome video. You got to check that out.
It really is so cool. But the kids were completely blown away. And when I give them a Genius Hour project, they have to do the project and they have to present it. So that's 2 parts of it. But then they have to explain the science behind it. And he knew his science, and those kids were just like completely blown away by what he was doing, and it sparked a lot for them. So I'm really curious to see what they do this week. We have all kinds of stuff. Like someone's doing an art pendulum thing, like a painting thing. One person is really into photography, and her mom is a police officer. And so she went to a protest and was going to take pictures, and she was going to talk about how photography can evoke emotions and like have pictures for people to look at to say like, well, what does this bring? Like, what does this make you think? And like show about how you can use photography to invoke certain emotions, which I think is incredible.
Wow, this kid might be earning the next Pulitzer Prize.
She's awesome. She's really awesome. And like, just by having a conversation, she's like, this is what I really love. I love photography. And so we kind of had a conversation, and that's basically where it led. And I'm really excited to hear. And then like 2 of the girls, I don't know if they're going to be, it's a big undertaking, but they want to make a pinball machine. So we'll see. But they only have this week. So we all know that takes some time.
That does take some time. All right. Well, that's pretty awesome there. I can't wait to see what this week. We're going to check in again next week. Now, you've been studying genes, traits. I love what you posted on Friday with the what strips were those?
Oh, the PTC.
The PTC for the kids that were positive, negative for that, and some of their pictures and their
Oh my
faces
gosh.
were just priceless.
I had so many too, and Twitter it
Well, tell us
handcuffs
what
you.
those are.
So, well, okay, so I knew you were going to put me on the spot like that. So basically, there's these little strips, they're taste tester strips, and they have this PTC, which is some kind of it's like there was a long clinical name for it. It's like pheno something. I wrote it down too. I just put it in my digital newsletter, but it's like a chemical, right? And you can either taste it or you can't. You either have the gene to taste it or you don't have that gene. And what was so cool is it's like a very bitter taste. So if you taste it, you really taste it. So it's like watching the kids all doing this together. And if you don't, you're staring at everybody going like, is this supposed to taste like paper? Like they're genuinely so confused. And it was such a cool thing. But, with that, they're doing a whole bunch of traits. Like they're looking if they have a hitchhiker's thumb, a widow's peak, all these things. Things even just like, yeah, the earlobes or like how you, when you,
I just
when
noticed
you
that
clasp.
your earlobes are attached. I have never noticed that.
And are yours, aren't they?
Mine
Yeah.
aren't attached.
They're not?
No.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Oh, yeah. So
What is that called?
What?
When your earlobes are attached?
Attached earlobes. Yeah.
Okay. I thought there was like some
No,
technical name for
there's
that.
No technical
Okay.
name. At least I don't know. Maybe Carla. Carla is our
All right,
go-to
Ryan, come
person.
here. I want to look at your earlobes now. Oh, now Ryan, he does not have attached earlobes.
Oh, there you go. So look at this. Yeah, exactly. So they were fascinated. But like when you clasp your hands, which thumb do you put over?
My left one.
Yeah, and see that's a genetic thing. So I always clasp with my right thumb over.
We're just opposites.
That's what yin and yang. That's what, perfect. So
That's why we're best friends.
but that's what, and like even like how you cross your arms. So like when you do your arms, which one do you put on top? Like which one feels more comfortable? So it's pretty fascinating. Like one feels more comfortable than the other.
Yeah.
So the kids had a blast with this, and they love genetics. They love genetics because it's all about them, and like you want kids engaged
should
and
be
all
about.
of this. I know, and all of a sudden you get to talk about them. I will tell you, my best part was Hannah, who I think you have Hannah or had Hannah. Amazing kid. She's like just the most awesome kid, and she's been dying to know how she got red hair because there was no redhead person in her family, and she kept saying, how do I have red hair? And I kept saying, wait till we do Punnett squares and I will show you how that works out. And so we get there to that part, and all of a sudden it's like a huge light bulb moment for her to understand like how that happens. And kids that have blue eyes but their parents didn't, like they've been asking for like pretty much this whole beginning of the year, and it was like, oh my gosh. Like I had kids that were supposed to leave to go help out with the student store, and like Eva, have you had Eva?
I don't think so.
I love that kid. So she said, so they go, Eva, we have to go. And she goes, well, we're learning about Punnett squares, and I've been dying to learn about this, so I'm not going. And I was like, I love that. And I said, I'll try and get it so that you can do both. But it was just so cool because this is like such an aha moment for them, and it's been like, the other years too. And so I love teaching this lesson. It's so much fun.
And the pictures. You didn't even talk about the pictures, like how detailed and how awesome those pictures came out. Their artwork.
Yeah. So you said the strips, so that I got
right.
confused. But yeah, so they had to take
tell
an
us what
inventory.
an allele is.
So an allele is what? So basically, you get an allele from your mom and your dad, and it's basically kind of your traits. It's what you're going to see from a person, right? So if you have, so when we talked about what the difference between a gene is like your category, right? It's like, so a gene is your eye color, and then the allele would be like blue eyes or brown eyes or whatever. It's what we're actually going to see. And so we were talking about that, and like I got mirrors out, of course, or they're like, can I pull my phone out? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So then they had to do a self-portrait, and they had to pick 8 genes to focus on, and then they had to write the corresponding alleles for that. So it was kind of like them paying attention to all these different things. And then, I'll tell you though, they really have to think about what, the genes are, because you can do eye color and you can do hair color, and then you kind of are like, what else do we write? And then you have to think, like your torso length is one, and your your hair texture is one, and like there's all of these different things. So they're like, that's a gene. And so like the conversation and their artwork, oh my gosh, like I was completely blown away. The two that I sent you, I'm pretty sure you could figure out who those two are. I mean, it's like spitting image of both of them. And but then even some of the girls, like I put some in the digital newsletter, and like they are these spectacular pieces of art that I'm like, I mean, you could pass these down like in a family. Like they're just that kind of beautiful. And I just am always floored by that, the effort that goes into that, and their understanding of like how they look and whatever.
It was truly amazing. Like if you have not seen them, check out Christy's, Mrs. Schofield's Twitter page. She posted some pretty amazing pictures. Are you gonna be posting some more? You have a plethora of. I feel like you gotta post some more of these pictures.
I have some real stellar ones because I have about 4 more. I'm telling you, Twitter sometimes handcuffs me with the whole
4
picture.
pictures.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna go in and do a collage and all that. I don't have time for that.
Well, you could do like a
your
thread. You could do your thread. You could do a thread. Like
one time I'm gonna surprise you.
That way you could do like 12 pictures and 3 tweets
That's
there.
true. I should do that.
Be like some more here.
One day.
But the pictures are truly amazing. I mean, and we covered so much here, but it is that time. You never know how things are going to go. We're going to roll this out. Ryan has attended, I think, this is his 3rd podcast we recorded, and he's been a trooper, and he's been waiting for his moment. So we're gonna roll out 5 minutes with my man, Ryan Scientist. Well, we got our man, Ryan Scientist here. Ryan, how old are you?
7.
You're 7. What grade are you in?
First.
You're in 1st grade. Who's your teacher?
Miss Willis.
And?
Miss Perry.
Miss Perry. So Ryan's in a unique kind of setup here. He has Mrs. Perry, who's going to be in there all year, and he loves Mrs. Perry and Mrs. Willis. Now, what's the best thing about Mrs. Willis?
That's a hard question.
That's a hard question. Why is that a hard question? Because she might listen to this?
Or there's just so many good things to say.
There's so many good things to say.
I think your grade just went up, young man. I'm going to make sure Mrs. Willis listens to this. Now, what do you love about school? Tell me your favorite subject in school.
Math.
Math? I thought it was lunch. You always tell me you love lunch.
Lunch.
All right. Why do you love lunch? Speak louder into the mic here, bud. Not too close. What do you love about lunch? Tell us what you love about lunch. Just talk.
Because you get to eat.
Okay, all right, too much there. So you get to eat. All right, so Ryan is an epic reader. He loves to read. How many books do you think you read a night?
3,000 and 23,000.
That's a big number. We better go back to math and work on some things there. Now, stop doing that. Now, can you tell some facts about the Titanic? You've been reading about the Titanic a lot. What can you teach our listeners about the Titanic? Talk in the mic.
It was called the a floating palace, the Wonder Ship, and the Titanic.
And the Titanic, obviously.
Why did it sink?
Because it hit a ginormous iceberg, so it followed, and some of the greatest people were on it.
Do you know about any of the people that were on it?
I know some of the bestest scientists were on it.
Jeez. Yeah, so he loved...
And some people that was the president were on that.
Wow.
George Washington and Albert Einstein was on there.
I love it, Ryan. I love when you read. You're always teaching people. Now, what were you teaching Mrs. Willis about yesterday? Were you teaching her about the
Red kangaroos? When they see danger, they'll go at you and kick you, and they can collapse your ribs apart.
Wow, the red kangaroo. So if you're out there, be careful of the red kangaroo. Mrs. Willis is always telling me these fun facts you're telling her about books that you read. Now, do you get excited when you teach people about these things? Because I always get excited. I'm like, Ryan, you just taught me that. I'm so excited. Do you like teaching people about things you read? Yeah. Now, Mrs. Schofield just gave you a big bin of books. What book did you get most excited about that she just gave you?
Ryan.
There's a book about Ryan? Okay. All right, there's a book about Ryan there. Now, Ryan, what do you love to do in your free time?
Legos.
Legos are your thing.
Because you can make science and build and make chemistry with it.
Nice. Well, now, I heard you woke up. Did you wake up at 6:30 this morning and go right to building a Lego set? Or is that 6 o'clock? What time did you get up today?
1:30.
1:30. And what did you build at 1:30?
A Lego set.
What kind? Tell us.
The Dilophosaurus Escape Shop.
Can you say that again for our listeners?
The Dilophosaurus Escape Shop.
All right, and that's from the Jurassic Park movie. And how many minifigs did it come with?
3.
3.
No, 4 because that counts the Dilophosaurus.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. You gotta have that in there. Ryan loves Legos. He has a huge Lego table, just bins of Legos everywhere, and we're always building. I'm mostly cleaning up and organizing his Legos, but he loves building Legos in his free time. Now, what's your next big Lego set that you want to get? Because you always get your eyes on your next Lego set.
Titanic.
There's a Titanic Lego set. How many pieces?
3,020.
3,020. Wow. How many hours do you think it would take to build that?
1.
1 hour.
Oh,
Wow.
Will Sam help you?
No, you're gonna do it without him. Now you've gotten to a fun point in the Legos game that you're building sets all about
Actually, 25 hours.
25 hours. Okay. All right. You've gotten to a fun point where you're building these Lego sets by yourself. Now, how does that feel? Thumbs up? Well, people can't see a thumbs up at home there.
Good.
Now, is it true you've been starting to make a couple cameos on the Sierra Verde announcements? Is that true? Now, how did that all come about? You just show up and say, I'm going to be on the announcements? I heard you've been doing
Yeah.
So I heard you've been doing the directing behind the camera. You've been doing the camera work, and you've also been showing up for like the jokes and everything.
Yeah.
Now, do people recognize you when they see you on the announcements?
Yeah.
What do they say?
Ryan's on the announcements.
Okay. I think
You got to be on for your birthday.
Yeah.
That's right. You did. And we got to sing to you. And how'd your friends like the chicken dance?
I want everyone.
Okay. I think we're going to end it there. Well, Ryan, will you come back on the podcast again sometime?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're excited. We'll be keeping you up. I like to tell many Ryan stories. It was a pleasure having you on here. I can't wait to see what you... Okay. Again, sorry about that. All right. Well, people, keep changing the world. Have a great week. It's the last week of the first quarter.
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay.
And me at a positive proton.